Here to help us give an inside scoop into this whole scandal is Christina Bobb, a former colleague of Miles Taylor and the host of Weekly Briefing here on One America News. So Christina, a perfect person to talk to about this. It's Halloween season, I guess, so it's fitting that he's now once again unmasking or whatever he wants to say. But let me ask you, what was Miles Taylor's position and his job responsibilities in the White House?
That is a great question, Alex. Miles never actually worked at the White House. As the president said, he never had a White House ID. He could never freely come and go to the White House as he wanted. The only time he was allowed at the White House was if he had a meeting there and someone who actually did work at the White House put him on the list. Without that happening, he couldn't even get into the White House. He had no responsibility there. He was not a White House employee. So there is so much about this that is so misleading. He was an official at the Department of Homeland Security. He was a political appointee, but not at the White House.
And I think that's so important because, for example, when that op-ed came out back in, I believe it was 2017, people were thinking,
my audio is going out.
Yeah, people were thinking that it could have perhaps been Mike Pence or Kirstjen Nielsen, all these big name figures, because the New York Times said that the op-ed was written by a senior administration official. And now we see that he wasn't even chief of staff for the Department of Homeland Security secretary at the time. He was, as you were saying, a staffer. So did the New York Times really take a hit to its credibility here too?
Absolutely. I would say that what the New York Times did is unethical. They intentionally, the way they worded the article and the way they structured this with him, they intentionally misled the American people. They intentionally misled the public into thinking it was someone like a Mike Pence or Ivanka or Jared or somebody who really is a senior official in the administration. That's who the American public thinks of. He was a senior official at the Department of Homeland Security, and so they're blurring that lines. They're blurring the lines, not informing the public that he wasn't at the White House, that he was at one of the executive branch agencies, which is removed from the White House. It's not the same thing. So it was completely dishonest. It was a way to make the article seem more credible than it actually was, apart from him not being able to identify himself because he would get fired and would have been removed from his position. Leaving him anonymous actually gave a credibility to the article that it otherwise wouldn't have had. He's so far removed from the president, he wasn't even a presidential appointee. He was hired by the secretary. The president is 100% right when he says he doesn't know who he is. He never met him. I know there are a few pictures of Miles with the president at an executive order signing. That's a very ceremonial procedure. It's really a photo opportunity for staffers, so it's pretty insignificant. So this whole thing was blown way out of proportion intentionally by the New York Times.
No, I mean, I could go find pictures of Kanye West meeting in the Oval Office with the president. That doesn't mean that he gets to write an op-ed claiming to be a senior administration official. But it's interesting to me, too, because you raised exactly what the point is. Nobody would have bought his book if they knew that it was written by Miles Taylor. They thought it was Jim Mattis or someone.
Absolutely not.
So there's multiple elements to this, but I think it's also worth noting. I've seen a lot of those on the left even make this point, saying Miles Taylor was very supportive of many of the president's agenda points that he is now claiming were unethical. In fact, he was one of the key people that was helping push child separation, and I know that that is something that he has since said, oh, I can't be part of this administration for ethical reasons. Was he generally supportive of the president's agenda before he left the DHS?
Absolutely. He never gave any indication to any of us, and we all worked in the front office, like the leadership positions at the Department of Homeland Security. I worked very closely with him. And he never gave any of us any indication that he was trying to surreptitiously go around what the president was doing. And in his article, he's like, hey, there's a group of us that were circumventing the president's priorities. And he made it sound like there was this group of secret spies in the Department of Homeland Security that, or in the administration that were somehow circumventing the president's initiatives. And that just blatantly was not true. It seems to be some imaginary game that he made up in his mind. That certainly was not true at the department. He was not effective in his position. He wasn't able to accomplish things that he needed to accomplish, and he was ultimately let go. He was fired in the most senior position that he held, which he did hold the acting chief of staff position for a few weeks, not more than a few weeks before he was fired, probably because they could tell that he was incompetent in the position. So if Miles wants to now say, I was intentionally incompetent because I was trying to slow the president's role and I was trying to slow his priorities, like, okay, I'll believe that. That's fine. I don't care if it was intentional or if it wasn't intentional. The point was you couldn't do your job and you were fired for it. So if now he wants to come and try to get, some honorary title of anonymous because he was impeding the president's immoral, whatever initiatives.
Right.
That's just not true. He wasn't effective in his position. That is true. Whether it was intentional or unintentional, to me, it doesn't matter. But he was fired.
Yeah, and it also raises this point, too, is the media is welcoming this right now. I mean, he's a CNN contributor who lied to CNN on air about his position, and now they are still leaving him on the payroll. And I mean, that's money that could go to actual reporters, something like that. But it does speak to the idea that many of those in the media are willing to rehabilitate someone's image as long as they turn on the president. It's not just Miles Taylor. There's been other people since then. Anthony Scaramucci. I mean, the whole Lincoln Project, you can say, is based off that premise that they take an anti-President Trump stance, despite them being pro-Bush back in the past, fighting for the Iraq War, Afghanistan, stuff like that. It goes to show you where the media is right now. But Christina Bobb, I really appreciate you coming on the program tonight, breaking down who Miles Taylor is and what this whole scandal is all about. Thank you.
Thanks, Alex.